Welcome to English Language Shelf, guys. In this video, we will learn about verbs. Now, across the globe, people say that I hate verbs. Well, maybe, but after you learn something about verbs from this video, I hope and I to a greater extent believe that you will start enjoying verbs, okay? So, let's mind our English now. You can see on your screen that there are exactly 15 types of verbs. As we always do, that first of all, we try to understand the general meaning of the term. So let's understand what does verb mean in general. Well, generally verbs are those words that express action, a condition, or a state of being. So something which is means a word which tells you about an action, or it tells you about a condition or a situation, like in a situation what kind of action is it, or what kind of condition, I mean mental action is also a condition, and a state of being, something which is totally static but still it is a verb. It tells you about something which is not moving, not continuous, it's totally static. We will get to know more about it one by one. So you can see on your screen 15 types of verbs, and now I will take you through all of them one by one. So let's get started. First is action verbs. Well, these are those verbs that tell you about the action of someone or something. And these are of two types: physical actions and mental actions. You can see on your screen some examples. For example, physical action: you hit the target. David punched Simon. I kicked the ball towards the goalkeeper. These are all physical actions. You physically do these actions. Even I also do them. And mental actions, for instance, he dreamed of dragons. Dreaming, it's a mental process. The clouds are roaring. So roaring, although lions roar, but when we say clouds are roaring, so it's our mental action. It's just our imagination that the thunder of the clouds was such frightening as the sound of a lion. So that's why people say the clouds are roaring. The news of earthquake blew my mind. So the earthquake news was something which shattered you. So blew my mind. Of course, practically, I mean literally, any news cannot blow anybody's mind. It's not a dynamite or bomb that will blow your mind, but it's just a mental action, an imagination that it was such shattering, and uh, it was really hard to believe about earthquake. So these are action verbs. Next up, linking verbs. These are those verbs that link the subject with complements. Now, what are complements? Let's get to know about this also. Complements are basically word or a group of words that describe or identify their subjects. And there are two types of linking verbs. One is the forms of be. For example, is, am, are, was, were. These are the forms of be. And second linking verb is those verbs that express condition. For example, act, feel, remain, appear, become, seem, smell, etc. So you can look at the examples like Sarah is our princess. So I mean, if you are describing your daughter, that what is your daughter to you, so you may say that okay, she is our princess. Similarly, Harry was absent yesterday. So I mean, what happened to Harry yesterday? Where was he? He was absent. So these are forms of be. And what about the conditions? Like the writer looked thoughtful. Okay, looked thoughtful. Thoughtful, it's a compliment because it's describing the state of the writer, the condition of the writer. In what condition is he? He looked thoughtful. Smith family seem to disagree with us. So, I mean, it's a condition. It's telling you, okay, it's describing it that, okay, they appear to not go with us. They appear to oppose our opinion or advice whatsoever. The pianist appeared to be energetic. So, energetic, it is a descriptive word, it's an adjective, so it describes the pianist, and the word appeared, it is a verb which expresses the condition. So these are basically some examples. There can be even more sentences, but you have to, just do a little bit of your own homework also. Anyways, let's move on. Auxiliary verbs, they are also called helping verbs. Well, these verbs, they come before action or linking verbs, and they modify their meanings in special ways. So either they come before action verbs or they can come before linking verbs. And they are basically of three types. Basically, three auxiliary verbs are common. For example, be. The forms of be are also auxiliary verbs. Have, the forms of have, has, have, had. These are auxiliary verbs. The forms of do, did, does, all of them, they are auxiliary verbs. Once again, the forms of be, when are they linking verbs? When they come along with a complement. But over here, when the forms of be, they come before a linking verb, then it becomes auxiliary verb. So you can look at the example. He is annoying me today. He is annoying me today. Here it is an auxiliary verb. Why? Because annoying, it is an action verb. They are late already. Are, it's an auxiliary verb because late. They are late. Late, it's an action because it tells you that, okay, they are late. Similarly, I have been concerned about your studies. So concerned, it is a condition. Concerned about something. Concerned. Linking verb. So being comes before the linking verb concern. So yeah, it's an auxiliary verb. Similarly, you had a cigar this afternoon. Had a cigar. Had something. Had a cigar this afternoon. It's an auxiliary verb. Joe has started a clothing business. 5 countries have joined the BRICS. Have joined. Joined, it's an action verb. Started, it's also an action verb. So these are some examples that you have to understand. And perhaps if you are not clear enough, you may ask me in the comment section also. I won't mind. In fact, I'll be happy to answer your questions. Taking a further step, modal verbs. Modal verbs basically, they indicate possibility, probability, potentiality, ability, permission, expectation, and obligation. And these include can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, must. So these are modal verbs. Apart from these words, they are no more considered as modal verbs. In fact, they do not count as modal verbs. If there is any verb from these you can say list, from this list, if you find any word, like if you find can, you must always remember that it is a modal verb. If you find must, you must remember that it is a modal verb. Let's look at some examples and I will explain them one by one. You can play tennis after finishing your lunch. So you can play. Can, here in this sentence, um, it is a permission that you can play. As I entered the room, I could smell gas. I could smell. So smell, it's an ability. Could. Here could, it is an ability because it's telling that I could smell something. I will discuss the remaining part tomorrow. Over here, will is obligation, that I will do something. I will discuss the remaining part tomorrow. The customer care service would tell you about the net packages. So here it's an expectation because it tells you that they would tell you. It's an expectation that you can expect from customer care service about uh, a facility or a service. The government shall devise a policy for controlling inflation this week. Over here, shall is a possibility that the government shall devise a policy for controlling inflation this week. There is a possibility. The public should complain about hyperinflation. So the public should over here it is potential that the public should do this. I may change my mind. This is a probability. May, that there is a chance that either I'll change my mind or I'll remain as I am. I won't change at all. Jim might have rented his apartment. So Jim might have rented his apartment. Might have. You can say uh, a possibility again that maybe he has rented. Maybe it's a possibility. Or you can also say probability, that it's a probability. Maybe he has done so. David must read books. Over here, must is obligation, that he must do that. So you can see that how these verbs, they form a meaning based on the indication, as I mentioned in the red uh, color. Then we have two types of verbs, transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. Well, transitive verbs are those that have an object, and intransitive verbs are those that do not have an object. Let's look at some examples. The storm sank the ship. What did the storm sank? It sank the ship. So over here the ship is an object. But on the other hand, the ship sank. With sank, there is no object. So therefore, the ship sank. It in this sentence, the word sank, it is an intransitive verb. But uh, with with an object, it becomes transitive verb. Likewise, the thunder blew away the houses. Blew away what? The houses. So there is an object. But on the opposite, if you read, the houses were blown away. Houses were blown away. Blown away. There is no object after that, so it's an intransitive verb. You also should notice that if you want to make a sentence, if you want to make the verb of a sentence intransitive, then you can just change the voice from, if it's an active, you can make it passive voice. Similarly, the dentist treated a patient with cavities. This, in this sentence, treated, it is transitive verb. But on the other hand, a patient with cavities was treated. Okay, a patient with cavities was treated. And fine, it's an intransitive verb because a patient with cavities, it is a subject. A patient, which patient? A patient with cavities. Although there are many other patients which dentists see, but this patient with cavities was treated. So, likewise, the public voted for Barack Obama. Okay, and if you want to make the sentence intransitive, then you have to change the voice. You have to make it passive voice. So what it would be? Barack Obama was voted. So anyways, these are the differences between transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. Then we have ergative verbs. Ergative verbs. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this word, but I'm trying my best to pronounce it the best. Ergative verbs. Well, these are those verbs that can be used as transitive and intransitive verbs. So, just look at the examples and it will be clear. For example, he opened the door. Okay, this is transitive. But can you use the word opened? Opened. Don't change the tense of this word. It is in past tense. Remain. It should remain as past tense. And in this form, can it be used as intransitive? Yes. That's why we have a sentence. The door opened. So the word opened can be transitive and intransitive. Therefore, it is considered as ergative verbs. Likewise, Max also plays football. Over here, plays, it's in present tense, it's in present form. Do not change the form of the verb. And let's see if we can make the intransitive of, can we make this word intransitive? So yes, Max also plays. Great. So it is an ergative verb. My car tires lost air. Now can you make lost an intransitive verb? Well, it seems difficult in this case because here my car tires, it is a subject, but air, it is an object. And if you remove air, so the sentence will be my car tires lost. It doesn't make sense. My car tires lost. What did they lost? Uh, so therefore, the word lost, it is not an ergative verb. Similarly, she rang the bell door. The bell door rang. So rang, it is an ergative verb. Silence in the library. Silence. So the word silence, it's an ergative verb. Basically, in this sentence, it is silence in the library. It is an imperative sentence. It is a command. It's an order. Let's say a teacher says silence in the library. So it's an imperative sentence. And even if you just simply say silence, so this is also a command. So the word silence, it's an ergative verb. But what about I hit the car? I hit the car. Okay. Can we make hit an intransitive verb? I hit. No, it doesn't make sense. It is incomplete. So I hit. No. So the word hit cannot be an ergative verb. So this is how you have to see. You have to just remove the object, and you do not have to change the tense of the verb. If it is in past form, past tense, let it remain past tense and use it as it is to make it transitive and intransitive. So that's what makes ergative verbs. What do we have next? Weak verbs and strong verbs. Well, these are pretty simple. Just one slight difference. Weak verbs are those that end with the suffix d or t in their past indefinite and past participle form. For example, spend, it is a present indefinite. What is the past indefinite and past participle of spend? Spent. It ends with t. So, spend, spent, spent. Learn, learnt, learnt. Walk, walked, walked. Want, wanted, wanted. So, these are basically weak verbs because they end with the suffix d or t. Whereas strong verbs are those that change from I to a and to you in their present indefinite to past indefinite and then to past participle form. For example, ring. Ring in present indefinite it has I, but in past indefinite it has rang with a, and in past participle it has you. making it rung. Ring, rang, rung. So this is a strong verb. Sing, sang, sung. I in present indefinite, a in past indefinite, and you in past participle. So this word, sing, it's a strong verb. Cling, clang, clung, swim, swam, swum. And there are many more examples, a lot of examples which you can find in English Grammar in Use by Raymond Murphy. You must take a look at that book. I really like it. Look at the end of that book, okay? You will find at somewhere at the end of the pages of that book, and you will get to know all the forms of verb, the present indefinite, the past indefinite, the past participle. That's a brilliant book. I have also shared that in my shorts. If you look in my YouTube shorts, you will find that also. I have recommended that book. Then we have stative verbs and dynamic verbs. Well, they are the opposite of each other. Stative verbs, they basically are static. They do not change. They are non-continuous also. They describe the state of being. They tell you that okay, something which is not moving, not in motion, it's not changing, it is completely static. So these are some examples like what verbs can be considered as stative verbs. Like any words which tell you about possession and size. For example, belong, own, have, possess, be, wait, measure. And any word that tell you about opinion, for example, know, agree, believe, think, etc. Any word that tells you about like and dislike, likeness and dislikeness. So these are some examples: like, dislike, love, prefer, etc. And any word which tells you about emotion and feelings also, like wish and hate. Yeah, I wish something, I want something, it's an emotion. I love you, it's an emotion. I hate him, it's also a feeling, it's also an emotion. So basically, similarly, perception and the senses, sound, hear, seem, these words, they are stative verbs. There is one slight difference. You see the asterisk words, see, appear, look, taste, smell, feel. These words can also be dynamic. It depends on the context. Anyways, these are some examples of stative verbs. On the other hand, dynamic verbs are those that show continuous or progressive action of a subject. For example, Harry is running fast. Running, it's a continuous action that he is still running. Let's say he's running in a marathon and he's running fast. Keep hitting the ball hard. Hitting, it's a continuous action. Oh, it's a progressive action. Let's say here, it's an order. Keep hitting the ball hard. You're trying to tell somebody to progress. Keep hitting it hard. Keep hitting. Keep doing that. It can also be continuous. He walks every afternoon. Well, this is a progressive action because it's something that it's a routine of it's a routine of a person, and he he does this activity every afternoon. So it's a progression that he keeps doing it. He hasn't stopped it. Her kids go to school. It's a progressive action because it tells you that okay, the kids are going to school. Her kids are going to school. They haven't left out. They are not drop out. They are not. They haven't dropped out. They haven't dropped school. I train the athletes. You are still doing that. I would say I am still doing that. Basically, I'm not a trainer. Can you guess my favorite dessert? Can you guess? Guess means can you succeed in guessing, in predicting my favorite dessert? So progressive action. Can you make that guess? Anyways, then what do we have? Main or lexical verbs and delexical verbs. They are the opposite of each other. Main or lexical verbs. You can call them main verb or lexical verb. By the way, by the way, up till now, all the types of verbs that we have discussed, they all can be considered main or lexical verbs. They all can be considered main or lexical verbs. So let's look at them. Let's look at some examples that what really are main or so-called lexical verbs. These are the verbs that are actually principal verbs. They are the main verbs of a sentence, and they take the major responsibility of representing the action of a noun or pronoun. For example, he ran to his father. Ran to his father. Who ran? He ran to his father. So the word ran is representing the action of he. David borrows a pen from Harry. So borrows is representing the action of David. I laughed out loud. James tried his best. A thief stole my wallet. Shakespeare wrote Hamlet. Hamlet is a drama, and Shakespeare is the author of that drama. The president is addressing his nation. So basically we said that addressing, it's also a dynamic verb because it's something which is continuous, that is still, the president is still speaking to his nation. He is addressing. So, but even it can also be lexical verb. The prime minister resigns from the office. It's a main verb. What about delexical verbs? Well, these are those words that do not have any importance on their own at all. It's not necessary to use them in a sentence. You can still make a sentence without those words. Commonly, they are have, take, make, give, go, and do. Let's look at some examples. I took a shower. Okay. Is it possible to make a sentence without the word took? Yes. That's why we have I showered. So, took, it is a delexical verb. She had a drink. Can we make a sentence without had? Yes. Which maintains the meaning of the sentence. Yes. She drank something. Okay, that's also right. Did you make arrangements for the trip? Is it possible to remove the word make? Yes. And still maintain the meaning of the sentence? Absolutely. So we have, did you arrange something for the trip? Arrange. The word arrange is the main verb. Did you arrange something for the trip? Jenny will give a speech tomorrow. Okay. So can we remove the word give and maintain the meaning of the sentence by making a new sentence? Yes. Jenny will speak tomorrow. So I've changed the word from speech to speak, but it's the meaning is maintained. Jenny will speak tomorrow. Jenny is the one who will only speak. Nobody else will be speaking. So basically, it's also not wrong to say I took a shower. She had a drink. Did you make arrangements for the trip? It's not wrong. But just to be more concise, more precise, just to be more concise and precise, therefore we can make sentences by removing these delexical verbs. So that's the difference between lexical verbs and delexical verbs. Then we have phrasal verbs. Well, phrasal verbs basically they have their own meaning, okay? And they are idiomatic phrases that consist of verb and adverb or preposition. So phrasal verbs are made by a verb and an adverb or a preposition. There are many books on phrasal verbs. I have shared one on my YouTube shorts. It's it's in yellow color, English collocation and phrasal verbs. It's in yellow color. You can find that on my YouTube shorts. You should also look at that book to know the meaning of those phrasal verbs that are there in that book. And basically, phrasal verbs, there are four kinds of phrasal verbs. One is transitive phrasal verbs, second is intransitive phrasal verbs, third is separable phrasal verbs, and fourth is inseparable phrasal verbs. Let's look at some example and then you will get to know. She called off the wedding. She called off. What did she call off? The wedding. The wedding, it's an object. So here, called off, it is a transitive phrasal verb. I can't deal with stress. Again, a transitive phrasal verb. I handed over my assignment to the teacher. Once again, a transitive phrasal verb. Our plan to meet for coffee fell through. Well, fell through. So here, after fell through, there is no object. So it's an intransitive phrasal verb. I picked Jim up on my way home. Well, this is separable phrasal verb. I mean, you can also write, I picked up Jim on my way home. You can like switch Jim and up. Instead of saying I picked Jim up, it's also right to say I picked up Jim on my way home. So yeah, it's a separable phrasal verb. You can separate them. They ended up in New York. This is an inseparable phrasal verb. You can't say they ended in New York up. No, that's wrong. They ended up in New York. Inseparable phrasal verb, by the way. Then the students came back. Came back. It is an inseparable phrasal verb and it is also intransitive phrasal verb. Inseparable as well as intransitive. We went away for 2 weeks. We went away for 2 weeks. Okay, so for 2 weeks, it's a complement. So it's not an object. So it's intransitive and inseparable also. Watch out, there is a bike. So it's inseparable. Inseparable phrasal verb. He passed away last night. He passed away last night. It's last night, it's a complement. It's not an object. So he passed away, it's inseparable phrasal verb and uh, yeah, inseparable phrasal verb. Lastly, reflexive verbs. Reflexive verbs are those uh, that transfer the action of the verb to the direct object and reflect it back to the subject of the sentence. They are often used with reflexive pronouns. So, what is the structure of using reflexive verbs? It's like subject plus reflexive verb plus object. So, there is a subject, and when you use a reflexive verb with that subject, then you also use a reflexive pronoun, which either becomes the object or just it emphasizes. Let's look at some example. Sarah called herself to find her cell phone. So Sarah called herself. Called over here is reflexive verb. Called herself for what? To find her cell phone. Cell phone, it's an object. So called herself, it's a reflexive verb. I will watch the news myself. Watch, it becomes a reflexive verb. But what if I remove myself? If I remove myself and I just write the sentence, I will watch the news. Then what type of verb is watch? Then it actually becomes a action verb. I will watch the news myself. It will become main verb, lexical verb. I will watch the news myself. He was talking to himself. It's a reflexive verb. David washed himself in the bathtub. So anyways, there are some more examples you can see. Basically, reflexive verbs, they go along with reflexive pronouns. That's the simple concept of reflexive verbs. That's all, folks. We have done with verbs. Next up, we will discuss adjectives in the next video. So guys, if you really like this video, please subscribe this channel, click the bell icon, give it a like. If you have any questions or would like to share any suggestion, then leave your words in the comment section and share it with your family and friends. My channel, English Language Shelf. Thank you and good day.